Greetings, comrades, and hello, everyone. I'm Quint866. Late video tonight. I know, I'm terribly sorry. But I'm going to make this really quick. I'm going to make this video be short and sweet, and I bet no one remembers this game. This game is on the DS, and it's one of my most favorite games ever. But I don't know why no one ever talks about it. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite DS games ever made. Without time to waste, let's haste. I bet most of you did not see that one coming. For those who played Custom Robo on the GameCube, no, that does not count. You have to truly play this game in order to see how brilliant it is. And yes, I do prefer the GameCube for many reasons, but this game was a very good sequel in my opinion. And not only because it had a larger story and more of a focus on certain characters, but some of the developments it made from the GameCube were just so memorable. I mean, yeah, it's not as advanced as the GameCube version for sure, but it certainly is a good attempt at recreating the magic the GameCube made on the DS, and for that, I can applaud it. What I can really applaud is the story. The story this time, instead of you just trying to stop some people for the police or whatever in the Custom Robo for the GameCube or whatever and doing tournaments and whatnot, instead you got lab workers, which may sound stereotypical, but it gets really good near the end. So you might your dad, who's one of the head scientists at a lab known as Neo Brain. You have your sister working there and a mom who works around the house. Your dad's assistant is known as Quint8, this girl with the pink hair. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're all thinking. She's gonna turn on us at the end, right? Because she has those big scary eyebrows, spiky pink hair. That's totally villain material. Well, you're right. I mean, yeah, I was gonna review it later on, but I'm gonna be honest, guys. I can't hide it from you when it's this obvious, especially what Quint8 says here. The lines are what really killed it for me. Like, even though I did not know Quint8 was a villain until I got to the part where she was in this scene in a different outfit, which totally revealed it to me, but that's because I was a young 12 or 11-year-old when I played this game, and I was a bit more oblivious to stuff like that. Plus, I didn't want to believe Quint8 was one of the villains because Quint8 just seemed kind of like a relatable character, considering she works loyally under your father, or your NPC's father, for years. And it's just, man, it blew me away as a kid. But no, it's not just Quint8 who is a good character. Liv herself, believe it or not, is kind of like the blue-haired girl in Custom Robo for the GameCube. I don't remember her name, but I know Dennis is like the Harry of this game. And instead of, you know, a whole big plot where you just are together for the entire time, this time you're torn apart from your friends. Like, for instance, when Quint8 gave Liv a shot that basically allows her to control her. Or, I don't think it's like hypnosis or mind control, but it is like, it's kind of like that thing in Ant-Man, how I said it's like, truth serum, that scene. You know, from Ant-Man 2? It's kind of like that. And, of course... What? Liv, are you seriously that oblivious to reality? Okay, whatever, sorry. I'm getting distracted. So the game itself is pretty good. I gotta admit, the combat was a bit tedious, especially with this cannon sequence where you have to launch and land on the right part of the cube. But that was really luck-based, which did not sell it for me. However, what did sell it for me was the plot. Even though the gameplay was pretty much the same, with a couple of new things, I'm gonna be honest, for people who are saying Rahu 3 in Custom Robo for the GameCube is the hardest fight in Custom Robo, you are absolutely wrong. For starters, I got Rahu 3 on my first try, and I was using some of the most basic equipment. I mean, yeah, I did use a lot of rapid-fire weapons, but that's because, you know, that's just how Rahu is. He's big, and he's very fast, too. So doing a rapid-fire weapon that will slowly chip away his health and play the evasive game is actually really the only real strategy. It's not like young Xehanort levels of hard, but it is hard enough that it was a decent finale. For those saying Rahu 3 is the worst final boss ever, you are totally wrong, because Rahu 3 was awesome looking, and also Rahu is one of the most mysterious characters in Custom Robo ever, so I gotta give Rahu props. But there's only one character who can beat Rahu, and that is the Rahu of this game, who I'll get into a bit later. So you fight through a guard robot thing, or security robot, I don't know what to call it, after Liv gets snapped out of her trance-like state or whatever. I don't know, guys. Seriously, I haven't played this game in years, and I'm literally borrowing footage from someone else, so that's just a thing. However, what really gets me is the fact that, unlike Custom Robo, where your robots were the main thing and the main focus of the game, in this game, however, the robots are actually controlled. Not to say they weren't controlled in the first one, but they're actually controlled by humans and this energy that Liv gives out. Now, she's not like a god or anything, and she's not the only one, but she is one of the few on the island currently that can do this ability to give people energy to fight outside of a thing called a Holosseum. It's basically a holographic Colosseum, and uh-oh, Kanjou's the villain! Uh-oh! This is when I realized Kanjou was the villain, by the way. Yes, I know, I was frickin' slow to this plot, leave me alone. Anyways, Liv also has a big brother named Eddie, who is kind of like a police chief, I guess? He's more like an investigator, if anything, because he doesn't actually do the arresting. He's more the guy that just, I don't know, he's like a chief police. I can't really describe him that well. And Billy's kind of like his subordinate, but like still high up there. And the worst part about this game is only one thing. Some of the characters were barely used, and I would have found it better if they used some of the characters a bit more frequently, but it's fine. Kanjou also has a kid named Sling, who is, well, kind of a D-bag in all honesty. I mean, look here. So Dennis and you are about to leave this building, and then suddenly, Sling comes up and stops you, revealing that he's part of the Grey Bomb, the main villain's syndicate. Now, I know it sounds a lot like Grey Bum, which is kind of humiliating in all honesty, but it has an A in it, so I'm just pronouncing it the way I did. But Sling, in all honesty, is a tough freaking fight. I'm not joking, guys. When I first fought Sling, he was so hard. Like, his illegal parts, his version of the Halo gun, which is way more powerful and way more troll, is absolute bull. It wrecks the game totally. It's like, my god, I am not joking, man. This fight took me not as long as the final boss, which is the Robo that was like Rahu, but I will say though this fight took me a pretty good amount of time. It took me at least 3 tries. No, I take that back. Actually, it took me 5 tries. But you know, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Some of these characters being revealed to be villains all this time was kind of predictable now, yes. But as a kid, when I was really young, I didn't want to believe some of the characters were, well, evil. I never wanted to believe it. It's like Street Fighter 2010, the final fight, having Troy be the main villain. Either way, I'm just gonna say one thing. Sling's gun, the illegal version of the Halo gun, is unfairly buffed. You know, there's a skull next to it to show that's illegal, so that's a thing. And his arena, the one you fight him in for his main boss fight, has lava rising through the floor, and it makes it hard to dodge the Halo gun. So that's a real problem when I'm having trouble dodging something in the stage, but also something shot from my opponent. Like, do you either get hit by the lava coming through the floor, or do you get hit by the big pink halos? You just get hit anyways. So this battle is basically a war of attrition, and yes, the lava itself isn't too bad to avoid, but when it comes up at random intervals and Sling pushes you around the room, he may be small, but boy is he an agile bastard. No joke. I'm sorry to curse, guys, but it's just, oh. Okay, I'm being overdramatic, but seriously though, guys, Sling was a really tricky fight for me. Even though the other bosses, or well, the final bosses I should say, weren't as difficult, minus the very last phase, Sling was a decent challenge. However, what I will admit got me even more than Sling and the final boss was the fight against the dark version of yourself after you beat the game. Like a secret boss, kinda. But of course, though, it's not really that important. But what is important, now that I think about that, the game actually leaves you on a cliffhanger when you find out the Grey Bomb Syndicate is led by your dark clone. And what's sad is that they never truly continued it. Even though you can see and fight your clone in the Grey Bomb's secret headquarters, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I feel like they should have continued the story. This would have been awesome to see what happens if you fight your dark clone, but I guess they couldn't continue it forever. But I really would have liked to see them go somewhere with a sequel to Custom Robo Arena. But that's just me, though. Next main member of this gang is Cleaver, the big, strong, kind of stupid guy. I know it sounds weird, but there's an explanation. 1. Cleaver was from the start. Always from the start, you knew Cleaver was evil because he attacked you in an alleyway. Which sounds kind of dark for a custom Robo game on the DS, if you ask me. But what we did know was that Cleaver wasn't necessarily part of the Grey Bomb Syndicate until a bit later in the game. We just thought he was an average thug. Now, nope, he's part of the main villain, but I guess it's to be expected. But even so. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, Cleaver was kind of a pushover for me. He was not that hard. I mean, yeah, his gun is pretty difficult to avoid. But if you just keep jetting in the air, like air dashing, you're golden. Like, this guy becomes a pushover once you equip the right parts and know his pattern. What I can complain about is the next boss. Even though it's not as hard as, say, Sling or the final boss, why'd I keep hiding the final boss? I really don't want to show you guys the Rahu clone until, you know, the right time comes, when he's actually revealed. Because I want to build up this video properly, but since Cleaver, I don't have much to add on him, I'll give you a bit of details to kind of foreshadow the Rahu clone of this game. Now, it obviously isn't Rahu himself, because Rahu, there is no way he'd live in an alternate universe parallel to this dimension of the video game, so just so you know, it's not a clone of Rahu. That's literally not the final boss. But it is something that I found really hard, mainly because unlike Rahu, how you only had to fight him once in the final battle, in one phase, might I add, in this game you fight him twice, actually technically 3 times, including the part where you're losing on purpose, where you're forced to lose the battle. Like, this battle has 3 phases, and it's actually a really interesting fight. Like, even though I gotta admit the stupid amount of things I would have loved to say about the final fights, like, Cleaver was a pushover, Sling was too difficult for me, and while, I'm gonna be honest, I did like Quint866, her battle was nothing special. It was alright, it just wasn't anything special. I mean, Cleaver was so bad that it was amusing. He was a pushover. Sling was so quick and tricky that it was hard to land a single hit on him. And Quint866, well, Quint866 is alright, I guess. But I'm gonna be honest, Quint866 could have been better. I mean, yeah, her battle was okay and her character was really well developed, but Quint866's battle was a bit of a disappointment if you ask me. The good news, however, is that Quint866 actually does technically have some remorse at the end. She doesn't become good and all that jazz, but neither does she stay completely evil. Like, it's hard to describe in all honesty. Like, she applauds you for your efforts in defeating her, but she remains loyal to the Syndicate. And of course, she is immediately fought before the final battle. Also, there's another member I haven't been mentioning known as Scythe, who is the head guy who wants to experiment, and he's the human. He's the human of this game that built the Rahu clone. And honestly, Scythe was definitely the balanced of all the Grey Bomb Syndicate bosses. I mean, even though Sling was a bit harder if you ask me, I found Scythe to be the most balanced of them all. Kanjal was okay, her defense was high, but it wasn't that bad. But it was challenging a little bit, I guess. Like, it was easy enough, but once you knew what to do, it was just pitifully easy. Like, even though I can't say that because I haven't actually replayed this game, Kanjal never gave me that much trouble, except on a couple times. But Scythe, however, the battle after this, is actually kind of a fair fight. One of the only fair fights in the game, I must say. Also, Kanjal is kind of creeping me out now. Her eyebrows kind of are starting to get to me. I really wish I noticed her angry eyebrows and her dark, mysterious persona working with your father or whatever. I really wish I noticed that as a kid. But I guess it makes something to tell a story about now. Kanjal isn't that hard to beat, but it is a good challenge if you're newer to the game like I was. And Kanjal's area is pretty cool. I like the snow-themed world. It really kind of builds up the right character, even though she said she'd burn you to ash literally a couple seconds ago. No joke. But I will be honest though, it does fit Kanjal's character. She seems like the icy kind of elegant type, who's so, you know, like, mysterious and whatnot, but I guess that's not really important right now. Of course though, I always use some different Robo parts almost in every fight. I try to use different parts every fight until I beat the game because I wanted to experiment with this game. I really did. But there's only one complaint I have about this fight. Unlike Sling and Cleaver, this fight was kind of boring, honestly. I mean, it's not boring if you're new to the game. If you're new to the game, the fight is quite fine, actually. But once replaying it, which I did for one time on an emulator, even though I said I hadn't played it since this video, I'm going to be honest, guys, I emulated it one time, and Kanjal's fight was kind of boring, honestly. But what I will admit is not boring is actually, believe it or not, the final boss's fight. I mean, Cleaver was a pushover, but he wasn't boring. He was cool at least. He was cool, but easy. Kanjal was fair-ish, but kind of more boring than Cleaver. Sling was a tricky son of a D-bag. And Scythe. After all of this, we get to Scythe. And after this, Kanjal is totally wrecked. And even though I didn't die on Kanjal, there was a lot of close times where I almost would have died. And thud. Kanjal is passed out. Bye-bye! We then get to this room. Wait, what? Eddie's gonna fight Scythe for us? Oh, that's nice of him. But it's actually revealed to be something kind of interesting at this point. Even though we knew that Eddie and Liv were sisters, we didn't know that their father was killed by a robot. A custom robot. And Eddie realizes this was the robot that did the deed. So he fights Scythe, realizing that Scythe owns this robot, and then he actually wins! And I'm like, no way! There is no way! Oh my god, Eddie is a total badass! Nope, nah, just kidding. Eddie totally wimped out. Okay. I should have known there was a twist coming here. I should have known. Haha, yeah, I was so oblivious. Leave me alone. Either way. Not even joking here, guys. Even though Eddie fought a clone of the katana, he didn't fight the actual katana. Which I found kind of sad, honestly, because I would have liked to see Eddie fight Scythe in like an awesome FMV cutscene. Because, you know, like, this game did have FMV cutscenes that were pretty cool in my opinion. Even though there was very few of them, it would have been lovely to see something like the Ace Attorney Dual Destinies cutscenes. Those would have been awesome if they were used a bit more frequently. But, no. So Scythe defeats Eddie for the time being. And now I am forced to fight Scythe. Oh boy, shock of the century. I have to fight the main villain guy myself. Woohoo! Woohoo! Okay, I'll stop. Okay, well, Scythe, anyways, his battle was alright. I mean, he's not the best custom Robo battle in the world, but he is one of the fairer battles, and I'm gonna be honest, alongside another robot that was kind of like Rahu in this game, known as Jameson, who is actually kind of like a big warlike robot, who's actually the main, like, underlings. They're like all the... This is what they're producing, these Jameson robots that are really big, have really big, like, arms. They're almost like a battleship, almost. And they're really cool. But the Jameson does not count as a boss in this regards because they're fought multiple times. However, Scythe is a pretty decent challenge. He's actually the one that gave me kind of a good reason to play this game. Even though I admit his gun is kind of weak, honestly, because you have to be kind of close range in order to use it, I will say, however, that his other stuff you can use as him is decent. Even though the body of the... or his katana body of the Robo was kind of lame, in all honesty, his gun was decent, his jetpack was okay, his bombs were okay, and the legs were probably the best, if you ask me. Here's the thing, though. You don't just unlock his parts once you know, beat him. You actually have to play the post-game in order to unlock all of the legal parts, which I found kind of good, because it gave you an incentive to replay the game to get you everything. And unlike Custom Robo for the GameCube, it was not cryptic to find those stupid parts for Rahu. Like, I'm not even joking. It took me over 5 minutes when I already knew where Rahu 3's parts were. It took me 5 minutes just to find the right place to press the A button, because the walkthrough was not descriptive enough. It's like, oh god. I was pressing A near the carriage that Rahu 3 was supposed to be in, and it took forever for it to say, you get Rahu 3's parts. I'm like, oh my god. Anyways, we totally get Scythe in a pretty epic final battle. So now you find out that Liv was using her power against her will because of the hypno shot or vaccination or whatever. She basically is being forced to give energy to Hadron, the Rahu clone of this game. Hadron is one tricky fight, and it took me quite a lot of times to beat. He actually took me the most times to beat in the entire game. Even though I had more trouble with another fight, I didn't die as much on the one because I had better parts then. Hadron and you finally face off. Of course, the first phase isn't too bad. It's a pretty good climax, and the arena is actually really cool in my opinion. It's actually really good looking. However, Hadron himself, oh boy, Hadron is a hard Robo to fight. Like, I am not even joking when I say that Hadron actually had me stumped for about 16 times. Now, I know it doesn't sound that bad, but if I were to say that it was all on one phase. So yes, and unlike the other games where you have to redo every phase, this boss fight allows you to play the game over not from the first phase. You can play it from the phase you died on. So huge props to those for not making an unfair challenge for dying on the final phase and making you start over at the first phase. Props to you, developers of this game. However, the fight itself is pretty decent. I'm gonna be honest, it's not the best final boss in the world, but I do like Hadron's design. He looks like almost like a bull or a... what are those things called? Not like a bull. God, what are those things called? Like an ox that looks like really cool. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Hadron himself is really cool looking. Of course, though, Hadron does get defeated on the first phase, and even though you think that's it, no, it's not. It's the final boss. What did you expect? So even though you beat Hadron in the first phase, Hadron does something else with the Liv's energy that he gains. Something that I found actually kind of confusing, but utterly heartless. You'll soon see what it is. But until then, just watch this battle play out. I mean, look how close this battle is, guys. Seriously now. 92 health to 33, and you do 100 hits or 100 damage almost per hit? That's a pretty... no, not 100 damage per hit. 100 damage per the hits of your gun in total. You win! Barely. Okay, I'll stop. So then, you finally defeat Hadron. And Scythe is all like, no! Impossible! Hadron! And he's getting all mad and whatnot, and he's all like, I will not fail! And Eddie's all like, good work, you did it. Finally, Liv gets out of her cage of energy-giving absorption thingamajigamic bobber. I don't know. So, basically, Liv is still kind of weak. She passed out again. Yes. We all know the typical girl, damsel in distress routine, yada yada yada. However, Hadron drained a lot of energy from Liv. So we now must find a way to get Liv out of this underground syndicate. And finally, one last thing happens. Hadron is revealed to not be dead yet, as he then absorbs Scythe's energy. And I found this kind of confusing as a kid, because even though Scythe wasn't really not like, how do I say it, like, Hadron didn't need to absorb energy from Scythe. I found it kind of weird why he did that. But you know, this creates something awesome in Hadron, unlike Rahu, who can't even do this. And then we suddenly see the first time and first instance from any robot ever, we see Hadron talk. No joke. Hadron himself, even though Rahu can say ... Hadron is the first Robo to actually speak. It really is such a predicament. And I imagine Hadron's voice to be something deep, like, you are all enemies. You want to cripple the ambitions of Grey Bomb. I imagine his voice to something to that effect. But either way, Hadron himself is quite the final boss. This phase, however, you're forced to lose, so that's a thing. Yeah, it's true. I'm not joking, you are forced to lose this fight. And yeah, I get it's supposed to build tension, but as a kid, this part of the fight took me a long time to beat, because I just kept dodging and dodging and dodging, hoping something would happen. Like his invincibility would go down or whatever. But no. Believe it or not, I didn't know that you were forced to lose this fight. It was truly unknown for me. Yeah. Even though he hit Hadron there, Hadron is completely impervious to enemy attacks in this form. So yeah. Hadron's AI gets better too, so his, battle tactics are a lot more tricky to avoid. And the third phase is what got me the most. Even though I counted one of my deaths on the second phase as an actual death, that was because I legitimately thought I was losing then. But, I still count it because it's part of the game. However, Hadron wins this one fight, and suddenly, this happens. Hadron claims his prize at long last. Hadron is about to absorb your energy. And of course, Liv tries to stop this. But to a lot of effect, for some reason, Hadron just does it. Why? I'm sorry. Why doesn't just Hadron just absorb his energy and shove the people out of the way? Like, why does he just wait for them to just try and revitalize your character? Like, I'm sorry. If Hadron was actually a smart villain, he just absorbed the energy already. I mean, he might be a noble villain to let his enemy have one last laugh, but any villain in their right mind that has almost succeeded would not let their enemy have a last laugh. I mean, there are a couple villains who are noble like that, but when a villain like Hadron has so much potential, like, I'm not joking, Hadron could have been amazing, but this one part killed it for me, and that was because Hadron didn't just finish the job. I mean, it would have been nice if we had like a fake death scene, even though we already had Scythe die. I would have rather have the hero die, but then we think he's dead, but then he comes back, and then he fights Hadron once more. That would have been so much better, But like I said, it's not a focus because it's only the end of the game and it pulls a little cheesy, we must fight together, teamwork thing. So the trope is kind of overused for sure. But then the final battle itself resumes, and it is quite awesome, I must say. Even though this part of the battle is pretty much just you versus Hadron, instead of you fighting Hadron in his gold form, you can actually damage him. Instead, this time, you turn gold, and now you can fight Hadron as another gold Robo, which is actually kind of interesting in my opinion. I mean, even though we could have done that earlier in the game, this time, you can do the gold for as long as the battle lasts. So it's a battle of who has more power, who will reign supreme. But only one problem resides with this battle. And that is, again, the fact that Hadron didn't do the most original thing a villain could have done ever. Like, even though I admit Hadron is kind of not really supposed to be the best villain in the world, I'll give him props for being interesting. But I would have liked to see him absorb the hero's strength, not because I'm malevolent or evil, because it would have set up a better situation that wouldn't have seemed so predictable, people. I mean, seriously now. It's just, my word. It's just, my god, I am so sorry. It's such a mind blower. And why doesn't Hadron just do it here? He clearly has an opportunity because there's no one blocking him. So just because the people blocked him earlier doesn't mean it's not an excuse now. So what the hey? I'm sorry. You know what? I'm reading too deep in this. I'm reading way too deep into this. Here's one of the FMV cutscenes of Liv giving energy. I know it sounds like she's about to cry or whatever. I know it's weird, but you know what? It works, I guess. And when Hadron transformed, that was the FMV too. So now, final battle with Hadron commences. And why didn't Hadron finish the job? He says, "You still resist me? Well, you didn't do jack squat." Oh my god. Okay, maybe Hadron isn't as good as I thought he was. Okay, you know, I'm reading way too deep into it. I'm seriously reading way too deep. But we're not done yet. The final battle commences, and like I said, it's the hardest fight in the game for sure. I mean, at least of the story part. The post game, there's obviously harder fights, but now Hadron versus you takes it to the galactic level as you ram on each other with the full power of your gold meter. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called like the soul bond or whatever. I don't actually remember what it was, believe it or not. Hadron is pretty tricky here too, and he's not exactly easy, but neither is he exactly nail-bitingly hard. I mean, even though his first phase I think I had a little bit more trouble with, that was because I tried different parts then. And again, even though I was so close to dying on the first and second phase, the third phase is what actually got me. And Custom Robo itself is such a brilliant game as is that I love its just design. Like, being able to make your own robots to your liking with your types of characters and your type of imagination to put into these characters, not the humans, but the Robos. You can literally create anything in Custom Robo. However, there are limitations to the game, but I like the idea of the color palettes. I like the idea of the fact that you can literally do a lot with Custom Robo. And this game I feel is so underrated, and I don't know why no one ever talks about it anymore. It's kind of weird in all honesty. It kind of makes me feel sad inside that no one ever talks about this game. But that is not the important point. Anyways, I'm Quint866. Have a good one. And Hadron, let's see your death animation. Yeah. Bring it on. Bring it on. Big Death Star explosion. Boom, boom. Big Death Star explosion. Come on. Boom, 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 boom. That's it? Seriously? That's it? That was the shortest explosion ever. Despite all I've said against Hadron, I'm gonna be honest, he's a decent villain. I mean, yeah, honestly, he was kind of predictable if you played the first Custom Robo, the one on the GameCube, so you can kind of see it coming. But I'm gonna be honest, I think Hadron was alright. I mean, even though they could have played his villainous scheme better and they could have made his explosion more satisfying or bringing him down more satisfying, I'm going to be honest though, he's not the worst villain ever. He isn't. So, even though I've complained about this plenty, I think that Hadron is good, but he could have been better. Anyways, I'm Quint866. Have a good one. And this is my favorite DS game of all time.